Hello and welcome to Minisode 7, and today we're going to be talking about the complete mess of a themed area that is Cloud Cuckoo Land at the Alton Towers Resort.
Cool.
It's true though.
Yeah, but I didn't think we were going to say it that early on.
Okay,
But it's alright.
yep. So, to summarize what this area of the park is, Cloud Cuckoo Land is like a family, kid/family area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's evolved over the years, but I can't bother to explain the evolution. We're going to talk about Cloud Cuckoo Land from its recent state to its now state.
See, all the times I've been to Alton Towers, I don't think I've ever properly been there because there's been nothing there.
This is it. We started going in what, like 2016?
Yeah, ish, maybe
Was the
15.
Smiler open the first time that we went
Yeah,
together?
of course it was, yeah.
Okay, so that was 2016 then.
Okay.
And by that point, it was already a mess. So it's been a mess for a while. What it is that as CBBS has become a thing, more focus has been drawn to that. They've already got Mutiny Bay, which is a really quite nice family area. So what Cloud Cuckoo Land was has kind of been split apart into two separate sections now.
And done better in both
And done
sections.
better in both, yeah.
So
then
there used to be the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory thing, right?
there used to be Charlie and Chocolate Factory. Then that IP ran out.
Was that a dark ride?
That was a boat ride,
Oh,
an indoor boat ride.
okay.
So yeah, it was a dark ride, something along the lines of Bubbleworks, but in just normal boats, you know.
Okay.
And then there was Ice Age 4D, just your bog standard 4D cinema.
Yeah.
There was the flying seats thing. I can't remember what they're called.
Flying seats?
Swinging, the carousel, but that you're in a swing.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
One of those. There's one of those. And then there was a whole other host of there was an indoor playground. There was some shops and some other things to do inside for kids, right?
So it's actually quite big.
So it was quite big. Was, keyword.
Okay.
So 2015, CBBS Land has already started to become a thing. Mutiny Bay's been a thing for 7 years, I think, at that point.
Mm-hmm.
The crash happens, so they start culling a load of stuff for the year after. I think at this point, Charlie and Chocolate Factory's IP had run out. They closed the flying swings, whatever they're called, for improvements, and it hasn't opened since. Ice Age closed. They boarded up all of the indoor bits, so all of those are closed now. Even the driving school was closed for a little bit, reopened as of last year.
Okay.
So
it was the first to go.
It hasn't been the best. A lot of the rides and the area as a whole kind of just dropped off the face of the map after the year after the accident.
I mean, it's fair though, because it makes sense to be the first thing to go.
Yeah, it's the most redundant.
Yeah.
So it now just sits in this empty state where there's a carousel, there's a frog hopper, even though they've already got 2 frog hoppers in CBBS, and then there's driving school. And those are the 3 things left. And I was looking at the maps. So much of this land is like buildings, and if you were to go in it now, it would just all look like a facade. Like all these buildings aren't really buildings, they're just facades. But they're all fully fledged buildings with quite a lot of space.
Yeah, I didn't realise there was any buildings there.
Yeah, they're all buildings. All of the stuff around it is all building.
It looks fake.
Yeah, exactly. So much of it is not being used, and it's so tucked away now. It's it's a very dead area, which is why we wanted to ask you guys what you thought they should be doing to it.
So let's talk about the dungeons. The dungeons are next to it.
So the dungeons is actually where Charlie and the Chocolate Factory used to be.
Okay.
It sits in the same building, and it uses this part of the same boat ride.
Right.
So
technically, it's part of that land.
Technically, but now that it's got such a different theme I'm looking at the map,
Yeah.
and
It doesn't really fit in with
No.
the frog hopper.
Alton Towers put it under the Towers section of the park, and other things in the Towers section are like Hex.
But that's nowhere near
Hex
it,
and
is it?
Spinball Wizard. Why is Spinball Hex is inside the Towers?
But they're nowhere near
Dungeons
each
is
other.
nowhere near the Towers. No, well, not really, but
What?
yeah. Just to note that Spinball Wizard is also the Towers. So,
Cool.
Yes, very cool.
In other words, the towers is like everything that doesn't have a thing.
Everything near them, relatively near
Yeah.
them, that doesn't have a thing. Yeah. Saying that, Wickerman is near Mutiny Bay. It's not even Mutiny Bay. So, Alton Towers have a weird thing with these themed areas. So yeah, it's used to be part of CBBS. Now it's the Alton Towers Dungeons with a much darker theme, much more gritty, much more in line with the actual towers.
Yeah.
Realistically, so the area has changed quite drastically, and potentially gotten even more of a mess.
Talking about like what they should actually do is hard. Well, it's hard for me because I don't actually know how much area there is. Obviously, towers is weird because there's not a lot of room anywhere else.
No.
So they've got this area that they're not even like bothering to use at the minute. So it makes sense that they either like have it as like another dark ride section, or put a new ride in there. But having the dungeons there, kind of messes it up a little bit because
In a way, yeah.
it's just there.
Yeah.
You couldn't really make a new themed area
No.
with the dungeons just chilling in the middle.
Yep.
But they obviously should use that space somehow, whether it's like a kiddie ride or a dark ride. They need a dark ride and a flat ride, but whether they do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to see the whole place kind of redeveloped and given the Polton's Park treatment.
Yeah.
Where they like just completely have a new area, a whole new area that some of the older rides just deleted, and some of them are rethemed to fit within the area.
Yeah.
And then you could have your flagship attraction, or in this case, you could have two. You could have some sort of flat ride that would sit quite nicely in just outside, really. And then what could be quite cool is to use the Ice Age 4D cinema space to build a roller coaster that goes indoors, but then also above some of the sections. Just like a small scale Vekoma family suspended coaster, which is exactly what they have at Polton's.
Yeah.
I think those would be quite cool to just have one of them that cements the area.
Yeah.
In the term of theme, as you said, the dungeons kind of ruins it.
It
just
actually
completely.
does. Is there any way that they could kind of make the dungeons a completely separate area?
Yeah, they
Just
are.
on its
they're
own?
not next to each other. Well, they kind of are actually. The path down to the dungeons, directly to the right of it, is pretty much a sign for Cloud Cuckoo Land.
Okay.
So they are relatively close.
What they need to do is just somehow shut the dungeons off.
Yeah.
So the dungeons are just like there on their own.
Yeah.
And then there's a new land next to it.
Yeah. It's not an easy fix by all means. It's quite tough. So what did everyone else say about it?
We asked you, what do you think the park should or will do with the area in the future? And do you think the dungeons were a good investment for the area near Cloud Cuckoo Land? So some people, like William, have said, I reckon the site could be used for a new large-scale dark ride or indoor coaster. Which is kind of like what you were saying.
Yeah. I think if you wanted to make a dark ride, you could. You'd have to really utilize all of the space. So you kind of have to knock down the buildings and make one that's entirely connected. Which is doable. It's more than doable, but it would be some funky layout dark ride. So
well, Lush Velvet Coaster said, I'd love to see a dark ride and some flat rides pop up in the area and have it themed around the dungeons and the themes within it.
Yeah.
So kind of extend the dungeon theme to all the dark rides.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. But then it's completely not a family area anymore. Caleb says, I'd absolutely love for them to turn it into an area like Klugheim with a coaster in the middle of a largely heavily themed area.
Yeah, that would be very ideal. There is
Yeah.
nowhere near enough space for that. Looking at the maps, like the actual Google Maps overview, it's not a big area at all.
Yeah.
It's quite small. The whole of the area is pretty much a comparable size to. Yeah, the buildings are big.
See, could they not just keep all the buildings and do dark rides within them?
Yeah, but they're not that big.
Okay.
This is it. I don't know how big they are, but how big they really are.
This is one of the main differences between people's ideas, because Alex says, I know it's a long shot, but I think they should completely demolish it and build a whole new themed area, and that's where they should put SW9.
You could do
Some
that.
people are saying basically just rip it down, and other people are saying use what's already there.
The whole plot of land would fit something the size of, if you were doing a roller coaster, something only a little bit bigger than the Smiler.
Wow.
It's not big. And
Okay.
right behind it...
And that would be the whole area?
Yeah, that would be the whole area. Because right behind it is just car parks, random stuff. You've got the Hex building, the actual ride system building is right behind it.
Okay, we got to rethink this.
So it isn't big at all, which is something that I realised as well. It's funnily enough, the Burger Kitchen and the whole warehouse for the old Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is nearly the whole size of Cloud Cuckoo.
Mm.
And as you said, like most of it is literally buildings as well. So
the Cobra said, we've been told Cloud Cuckoo Land is having a huge retheme over winter, and the kids stuff that's there now is going to be moved over to CBBS, and it's going to be rethemed more in line with Hex and the dungeon, but no info's been given with what's going on. Inside information.
It makes sense. It really does make sense because if you think about it, the Hex theme and the Dungeons theme aren't too far apart.
No, it's like old stories that are kind of live actiony.
Mm-hmm. The whole of the tower's aesthetic is very on point with those two things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to, and funnily, you got to think that driving school is actually right behind one of the walls of the towers.
Right.
So it is kind of in the towers still.
Yeah.
To some degree.
So could they not just like extend the towers theme?
Yeah.
And have like facades that look like the towers?
This is exactly what Joel said.
Oh, is it?
If you want to roll Joel's audio clip.
Hi, Harry and Zoe. Joel here. I've been thinking for a while about how to fix Cloud Cuckoo Land, and I think they should turn it into some kind of dark, dingy medieval village with a new dark ride, maybe some themed flat rides. I think it'd be fairly easy to do. They just need to remove some signs and temporary rides, and they could just repaint the buildings. Thematically, it would fit very well in that corner of the park because it's right underneath the towers, and the dungeon and the dark forest are both nearby. They don't really need a family area anymore over there since they've already got Mutiny Bay and they've expanded CBBS Land so much. And also, if they remove the driving school, it would create a new way into the area because it's kind of just a dead end right now. So there's no reason for any guests to even go in there. It is another creepy theme, but I guess it's just what towers are good at. So, they should just stick to what they know. Anyway, that's my suggestion.
So we've come to the same conclusion as Joel then?
Yes.
Interesting.
A medieval towers-esque theme would be very suitable for the area.
It would be cool.
And as Joel said, if you were to just get rid of the driving school, that lends itself quite a lot. You could have a small-scale dark ride.
Yeah.
In one of the buildings. Open up the other ones. Joel mentioned this to me outside of the recording. He said that it would be cool to have a tavern kind of shop that sells like ale and beer.
Yeah, like the one at Mutiny Bay.
Yeah. Like that. Keep the medieval theme. And you could have some sort of small scale outdoor flat ride as well.
Yeah.
Easily within the driving school space. I think it is much more appropriate to make it an adult section now.
Yeah. And also the fact that they've put the dungeons in there, that they're not going to remove them anytime soon because they're brand new. So they've got to kind of integrate that somehow.
But this is it. Towers needs two things, in my opinion, right? They need flat rides. Everyone says they need flat rides, but flat rides are overrated. They need a few.
They need
But-
a good one.
Yeah, okay. But mainly, I want to see more dark rides. Not massive dark rides, but
Yeah.
potentially a massive one eventually. But small scale dark rides like Subterra used to be, you know?
Because also, it's the UK.
Yeah.
It rains all the time.
Yeah.
There needs to be more stuff to do
hmm
that you can do inside.
But just Towers doesn't need roller coasters at this point.
Yeah.
It doesn't need a lot of things. It just needs some small additions to do.
The finishing touches.
Yes. And I reckon like two small dark rides and maybe one massive one
Yeah.
would really sit well.
Yeah.
You know, having even Subterra back open as one of them would be, in my opinion, would be a really good move.
Mm-hmm.
But you could definitely fit a small scale dark ride in within the area, and you still have buildings to play with shops and other kind of eateries,
Restaurants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
They
there's a lot
could
of
just
potential.
retheme the burger place to something else.
Yeah, the burger kitchen sits there, and they did make that facade look all mucky.
Mm-hmm.
What they would also need to do if they made all of this side of the park, you know, dingy, is to change the skyride.
Yeah.
They'd have to change the skyride building to fit between them all.
Yeah.
But as Joel said, it does make more dark themes, but he is right. It is what Towers are good at. It is what
Yeah.
Merlin are good at.
Why would you change if you're
But also,
successful?
the whole of the Towers is creepy, in a
Yeah.
way.
Look at Hex.
Yeah, so it really does make sense to have this corner of the park be more dark.
Yeah. So you went on the dungeons
When
the
in
other
the
day.
dungeons.
Yeah. On them,
Yes.
in them,
In
around
them.
them. How was it?
It's good. I actually, I really quite liked it. It was interesting. We'll try and keep spoilers to a minimum. There's a boat
Yeah.
ride.
Okay.
And the boat ride happened, I thought it would be like near a finale. It was
Right.
quite early on. So that kind of like, oh, okay. But the scenes are cool. To me, it wasn't particularly scary. Most of the scenes were more kind of funny than scary.
Yeah, but I reckon if I was there.
No, there was only one scene, the boat, and another scene that you wouldn't like.
So you're saying that the themes of the rooms weren't scary themes?
Not really. They weren't. They were scary, but they were a comical take on being scary most of the time.
Okay.
That wasn't for the finale or the boat ride, though.
Okay.
Those two were distinctly more dark.
Right.
But it started off light and then kind of went up and down in terms of darkness and lightness as you went through.
Bit of a roller coaster, eh?
Yeah, but that's kind of what you want, though, because it kind of yeah, you can appreciate it when it's a bit more jumpy, as in not every scene is dark, you know.
Yeah, because then you don't know what you're going to
Yeah.
expect in the next room.
Yeah. Funnily enough, like 4 people get picked on, I think, in the entire thing.
Oh,
I got picked on twice.
of course you did. I bet they knew it
So-
was Coasterbot.
I doubt they did. But everyone else, the group that I was with, really appreciated that.
Yeah, I bet they did.
I'm sure. So, but yeah,
So, what do you think then? Was it a good investment?
I like it. I think it's cool. If you've been to Towers a lot and you want to do something else, it takes an hour out of your day, and I think it's worth doing.
Mm-hmm.
you
And
know.
it was £5, right?
£5, easily worth doing for £5 in my opinion. £7.50 is starting to get a bit like, ooh, depends. But for a fiver, if you book in advance for a fiver, I would say, yeah, give it a go, give it a try. It's just fun. It's nice to be able to do things at Towers that aren't roller coasters,
Yeah, like it's a variation, which is what
Yeah.
you just said they need.
which is why I really like Subterra, because it was like slap bang in that area of the park with 2 roller coasters.
Yeah.
And it was connected to the Nemesis theme, and you could really appreciate it, but it was
Yeah.
something different. So,
We've got a couple of tweets about what people reckon that if the dungeons were worth it or not.
okay, yeah, go for it.
TPC says dungeons was not what Alton Towers needed and should have been done nearer the hotels as an evening activity. However, I accept that it was done midway budget rather than theme park budget.
Mm.
So they're saying it should have been more of a hotel
Yeah.
thing.
Well, this is it. If Alton Towers wants to become a proper resort, it needs to have more things to do.
Yeah, like the Waters Park and things
But
like
then
that.
Alton Towers is not the best place for a resort. Most of your theme parks aren't that big, so that you can get between the areas. Say if the park was meant to be closed, you could easily get between the areas and just kind of direct people to these attractions that could be open late at night for
Yeah.
hotel guests.
Yeah.
You can't do that at Towers. You've got Forbidden Valley, and that's it.
Yeah.
Everything else in the park is a trek. So they're in a like a losing situation with all that kind of thing. I think it's right to put it in the towers rather than outside, because if it was outside, I don't think many people would care about it unless they were hotel guests.
Yeah.
But it being inside kind of makes it more of your part of your day.
Yeah.
And to be fair, now it is open later, so you could do it at the end of the day after park closes,
Okay.
and then go back to your hotel.
Mm-hmm.
That's something to consider. As whether it's a right investment, don't know. Merlin are good at midways. Merlin know midways make money. I personally think it was a last minute thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is the end of the last minute things, because that's not what Towers needs. Towers in a good place if they had a big plan to follow the plan and make the whole place a lot better, right? They're in a good position. If they don't have a plan, they're screwed. It's true. That's just true. So you can't keep putting in one-off things. It all has to be part of a greater plan, because otherwise it doesn't go well.
Yeah.
And there's another UK park that's been doing that for a while, and it hasn't been going well. So, plan.
Jamie says, despite the dungeons being a fun addition, it really doesn't fit in with the area.
Very true, which is why they need to, make our changes.
Yeah, he says, maybe add a family coaster to the area to help bring in some crowds.
Yeah. That was my idea as well, but then I also think that that's not a very good idea anymore.
I think for the space they have, a flat ride and a dark ride
Yes. Much better.
is a better use.
Definitely.
Because if you did a coaster, it would literally just fit in.
Be too big. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Small scale dark ride, flat ride, bingo.
Bingo. Thanks for sending in your comments, guys. It was good. We've got a solid plan now.
We
so
do.
There's no worries anymore. Alton Towers, if you're listening, we've got it all done.
Just follow what we said, and everything will go well. I'm sure.
Well, obviously we don't know anything, do we, about actual real life theme parking.
No. Of course we don't.
This is just a good idea.
It is.
Seems like a good idea.
It does, but it could be, not very feasible in reality.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It probably isn't. We can dream.
We can dream, and I do hope that the area gets sorted out sooner rather than later,
Yeah.
before the next big investment cycle.
Yeah.
We'll see. Depends on how much Merlin want to invest in that park.
Yeah.